Hi guys, welcome back. This is Matt Chat, episode 562, featuring an interview with Mr. Sid Osna. Now, Sid is the co-founder of Ex Ignorantia. It's an indie studio from southern Brazil, who's made a lot of tabletop RPGs, but is now springing into the world of the desktop. He's got a lot to say on that, as you will soon see. He is a seasoned writer, creative producer, huge background, big bibliography, huge, really impressive resume, all kinds of awards, really impressive stuff. But this new game, Crow's Requiem, is a story-driven RPG inspired by Disco Elysium and classic tabletop traditions. But what kind of piqued my interest about it was the setting. He calls it pandemic punk. Pandemic punk world building with richly illustrated characters and heavy role-playing elements. You know, I played the demo, and it's really kind of unlike anything I've seen before. And I think it's got a lot of potential. I'm not really sure where this is going to end up, but what a fascinating project. And Sid's a really good talker, as you'll see. A lot of interesting insights into the world of tabletop and computer role-playing games. Anyway, we've got a lot to cover here, so without further ado, here is Mr. Sid Osna.
There's always something. Maybe not, though. I always feel like I get some of the world's most tech-savvy people on the show, you know. I think if there's anybody in the whole frickin' world that could figure out how to do a Zoom, it'd be these guys.
You are absolutely right. As you come to realize, I'm more of a writing and producing guy than understanding how the magic actually happens.
Well, that's a good place to be, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's a great view.
Got a bit of. Was you doing a little vaping earlier? What was that?
Oh, sorry, I'm a kind of a heavy smoker.
Oh,
traditional old school cigarettes.
Yeah, I go for I'm a little bit old school with the pipe. You know, I got the.
Oh, I've got somewhat of a collection of pipes.
Oh, really?
I'm into that stuff. Yeah, really into that stuff.
Yeah, I seem like all the pipe tobacco I get these days comes from Denmark.
Oh,
I'm wondering what's up with Denmark.
That is an interesting place for tobacco to come. Historically thinking, I would never guess Denmark.
Well, I guess they probably buy the tobacco from Virginia or something, right? And then import it all the way to Denmark and then bag. I don't figure out how that works. But that shows you're a writer, because a writer's got to have some kind of smoke, right?
I've been told I look writery, like the glasses, and I'm. This is a very upbeat vibe for me, because working I have like resting bitch face. I think I kind of look angry. I think so. The cigarette really ties the whole picture together. I think.
I mean, I feel like the chapters come as soon as that pipe, is lit. There's a relationship there.
Yeah.
No, but anyway,
yeah. Thanks a lot for having me. I'm really, really honored to be around.
Yeah, it looks like there we go. Now it's fixed. The video froze for a second, but
am I back?
Yeah. Unfortunately, it froze right when you were telling me how honored you were to be on my.
Oh, okay, yeah, because I am very honored to be here.
Glad to have you.
Yeah.
It's like, I hope this connection clears up a little bit.
Am my connection weird?
Yeah, it's kind of. I don't know if does it look okay on your end?
My end is okay. Maybe because I'm using the browser one, because I don't have Zoom installed. But if it gets too weird, I can swap. I'll just download it to be sure.
It's all right. So, I guess you're there, and you're in Brazil, right?
I'm in Brazil.
Is that a good thing? I thought it was a fabulous place to be. I mean,
it is. I do love a lot of it, and it angers me so sometimes. But we're historically, politically weird, you know.
Oh, the politics of it. Oh my.
Yeah, the politics are not great, and a lot of the social aspects are kind of nuts, and there's a lot of insecurity. But honestly, it is a pretty cool place, and like being very way more into the vein of the thing. But like, it's great to see Brazil discovering its own games and its own studios and its own like way to create things, and the themes that interest us, and the genres. So that's it feels like kind of a special moment to be part of the thing, because it really feels like we're finding ourselves right now, and the access to like easier to build technology and the engines and all that, and it really takes a lot of the weight of like how expensive it is to get like specific machinery and stuff in Brazil. So it's always been like historically, but now it's more of a anyone can do it in a way. So it's a cool time to see things happening for sure.
Yeah, it's good. It's always fun to figure out what the different gaming scenes are like in other countries. I
Oh,
don't know
for
if you,
sure.
who is it? Was a developer from Argentina, Agustin Corrades, and his, I think he did Scratches and I can't
Yeah, yeah.
Asylum game. But yeah,
Yeah,
he's one of my favorites.
yeah. It's really cool because it is a very, I'll use it lightly, like kind of an old school feeling to see what the local scene is. Because sometimes it feels like everything is the same everywhere, and we're all playing the same games and reading the same stuff. And it's really, there's so much fine detail you can find, on the particulars of a place. And I think we're finding out right now. Everybody's really into platformers, but I think that might be an overall thing. But the like Brazilian themes are starting to pop up, and it's a
Right.
cool
Yeah, I
one.
want to delve into that a little bit because one of the places I think where innovation is going to come from. People complain all the time. Oh, games are so similar. It's a sequel. Do we need the 50,000th Call of Duty or whatever? So I think that the big studios are just kind of stuck.
Yeah,
They're just
yeah,
stuck in that whatever. They can't escape. So
yeah.
you have to once you go to other countries, though, you're like, that's where you get the variety. That's where you get the something you haven't seen before.
Oh, for sure.
But I was curious. I know you probably don't want to speak for Brazil.
Oh yeah, do not allow me to speak
I
for
mean, are
Brazil.
there like unique like Brazilian things that
You
you bring?
know, it's I'm 35, so I'm kind of, I got the school of the 90s. Like the cool people in my view were the ones doing the stuff in the 90s, and then in the early 2000s, I was kind of emulating them. But so in my perspective, there's this really cool and even borderline intense love for more narrative. I come from tabletop RPGs. I'm like a lifelong tabletop RPG guy, writing and playing and all that. And people were really into like World of Darkness and more narrative stuff. And if to me it always felt so like curious, even like way younger, to see like this like I usually say that I come from the not so tropical south of Brazil, but it is Brazil, there's a lot of sun and good weather, and it's like heavily dark wearing, like super into vampire people. And so
Oh,
my Brazil, my the tendencies that I saw a lot in Brazil were like a heavy investment in like more narrative RPGs, kind of the heavier stuff. And that definitely shaped me for sure. Yeah, that's the country that plays a lot of Empire the Masquerade and stuff. Yeah,
yeah, this is the postcard view, huh?
yeah, yeah. That is definitely not the image you get when you see that, but we were really into that. And I think as a lot of like places and cultures and peoples, you could say, there's a lot of regaining our identities, and like exploring our own. I know that that's the lowest bar you could put, but just to use it as an example, like exploring our own myths, exploring our own mythology, not just let's do we need a dragon here? Maybe it could be this creature from the Amazon of the native culture, and there's this like getting it back, and there's a lot of it. And I know it's kind of a low bar when you think just mythology, but I think the themes are starting to appear, like even the quote unquote bad stuff I was talking about. There's a lot of like IPs and ideas starting to bring more about the social context and the Black history in Brazil, which is so complex, and like Afrofuturism in the context of Brazil, in the context of Rio de Janeiro, in the context, of those microverses that are so Brazilian, that are so like even in the not just in the collective imaginary, but definitely for us. Like we don't we don't see a lot of monkeys in our daily lives, but we do see a lot of that, like the social complexities and the slums, those kind of places have such a long history and such complex history and internal ways of thinking and seeing the world. And I think we're getting that back. I think now we're talking about that, not in just in a way for, as we say here, for gringos to see, not just like a romanticized version, but an actual version, actually talking about those things. And that's really cool. I think that's very contemporary right now for us.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel the same way about New Orleans. There's so much lore and history there, and like, wouldn't it be more fun to play a game set there than just some generic,
Exactly.
type of world? But yeah, let's get a little bit into your transition from tabletop,
Yeah.
desktop. I'd like to maybe start with some of your tabletop games. Is there a particular one that we could look at here?
Yeah. I would love to send you the website, but our website is kind of busted right now. The old website with the RPGs, but I'll try to shorten it up, short and sweet. But basically, when I was about like 15, something like that, I was coming from playing a lot of Empires, like I said, 14, 15. But I was really, really, really into like Hellblazer, Constantine comics, and the whole occult world was so fascinating to me. I started to realize it was more fascinating than vampires themselves. I was more, yeah, that was the first one. That's Cogito.
Right. Am I on the right page here?
That, yeah, oh yeah, you're right. In drive-through, we have the free quick guide if you guys want to check it out. But it's very Constantini in the sense, or like Neil Gaiman and guys like that really saw how, like, what could be cooler than seeing this really impressive immortal creatures and this with this long feuds and great wars and all that, but there's actually no heaven or hell. There's always been just earth. So like the Lucifer is a dentist and an investor. God is a little girl. It's actually this one on the image, like a little girl who asks for change in the streets, and like the biggest archangels are the guys on the street who protect her. So it's all the grandiose things of like heaven and hell fantasy, but brought down into the greedy aspects of modern life. So we used to say like, yeah, you're an angel and all that, but you're not going to fly because you can't be seen doing that. So you need to take a bus. If you need a bus pass, you need an ID. So, oh no, now you need an ID. So you need somebody who can sell you that on this new city you just moved in. So it was a lot of the complexities of being such a powerful ancient creature with no safe haven from the mundane. The name actually comes from, we were really into bastardizing Latin back then. So it's like cogito ergo sum secularia. So like I think therefore I am mundane, and that was kind of like our philosophy behind the game, and that kind of started establishing the world, and then we started to get really into the idea of like, okay, so if like angels and demons have become more human, more mundane, the more amount of time they have on earth because there's nowhere else to go. what happens to humans who stay here too long? They become less human. So we started like kind of playing around with the idea of like transhumanism through like any creature, any living thing is 100%, and it cannot be more than 100%. So if a human needs magic, he needs to leave something behind. You need to take away. So it's a game basically about losing parts. It's called Nihilo. It's again a bastardization of like ex nihilo omnia. So like from nothing comes everything, and like the idea of like how little of the human you were is still left by the time we meet you in the game, and you're like a 300-year-old wizard. And and we uh, I, I think the thing that kind of ties them mechanically, we do have a system. It's called Signum system. It's kind of a super narrative focused D10 system, but we really like the idea of not tying people to grimoires or and stuff like that. So on Cogito, you create one power object, and on Nihilo, you create like every magic, every magical capability you have. It's kind of a negotiation with the narrator. And yeah, I don't know. It's that I don't want to talk forever about this, but that was kind of what we messed around with on the
Yeah,
tabletop.
I don't think sitting here trying to think of other folks I've had that have gone and gotten this philosophical with their games. You know, I had
Oh,
Sandy Peterson on.
brother, don't go, do not get me started.
Have a good chat with him, or Chris Avalone maybe with his Planescape Torment series. I mean, there's been a few people, but yeah, wow, so it's a D10 system.
Yeah, yeah. We were really into the idea of like just beating an eye on the die, and you know how well you did. You know, like you don't need. Oh, I have 3, so the difficulty was 8, so it's 8 minus 3. Did I get a 5? Oh, good, not good. But very narrative, not super tied. I especially I DM'd obviously so much of my own game on lives and stuff, and people would go like, "But he got a 6. That was not good." I'm like, I don't care. Like it's close enough, and the scene was good, and his idea was amazing. Like I go for the best movie we can create together. I think.
Yeah, well,
But yeah, the detail is our best friend.
yeah, there's definitely an art to being a DM.
I enjoy it
Best out
so
of your
much.
players. That was one of the things I was kind of tinkering with to ask you about. I'm going to get my questions all out of order if I do, but I was
You
thinking
remember, right?
about this, especially with a computer, like a single player computer RPG,
Mhm.
and how you balance the story that you want to tell or write as a designer versus the one you want to emerge as the player is experience in the game. You know, so
Right.
I kind of view it as like a collaboration with the player.
Oh, for sure.
But
It,
you know,
it, it
it's a
definitely.
tension, right? Because if you just let them do, you can't obviously. There's you have to put some kind of rails in there to have any kind of uh,
Yeah.
story at all. And you know, it's one of these. It's one of the things I think is so fascinating about the doing a game versus doing a novel, let's say. Or,
Oh, right. For sure, for sure. Yeah. I'm really into the idea of um like setting some points. I'm gonna start with the tabletop and try to go for the more applied stuff on the game. But I really like I have a strong enough kickoff point. Like, okay, this is the I hate actual call to adventures. I'm really, really against it. As a DM, I think the story should make you want to go after the adventure and not a literal thing. It should be like a scroll. Not nothing against the old school, but it's not how I like to DM. So if I have a strong enough kickoff point, kickstart for the characters, why would they be involved? I start like as things progress, and you obviously need an idea where you want to go, or at least the type of ending that you want. I think it can be a lot about the vibes I want to deliver by the end. Do I want them to feel uplifted, or again, like if it was just a binary thing, it could be uplifted or brought down, what is this the spectrum of emotion that I want to work with at the end. And then you start like seeding these moments, because you a good DM has like a profound relationship with the characters, like you start to really understand, and obviously knowing the players helps you kind of foresee of some of the stuff that they might want to do as a character, but the character is the main relationship. So you start like, oh, okay, this guy, uh like I see he is really about to like break down and have a really violent moment if something da da da. So you kind of like, okay, where would it be? Where would it be the best place for this thing to probably happen, not necessarily happen? And then you start like setting the triggers, the if thens of like, oh, okay, there it is. Now there's I described the moonlight, I described the square, I said there's a sun and a nine, and he's feeling like this. Let me just drop the hammer right now and bring something that actualizes the buildup that we both created with this. Because I can't tell you that your character is getting pissed. I can just create opportunities for your character to be pissed until he's pissed enough for the thing to happen. And I feel like on RPGs, that's kind of like how I roll. But there's another layer to it that I would say we call it narrating and not DMing, but I DM'd so much on lives because of the when like Ex Ignorantia was the publisher and now is the studio. So when we were just the publisher, we were like, you're always trying to showcase your thing, and you can be your best. You're probably the best advocate for your game you can find. So if you play it well, people will be interested. But then you create the entertainment filter, which is how many things need to happen in the 3 hours that we have. And if you have like, I'm one guy and I need to talk a lot, so I know I take space, and I have like 5 players, 4 players to play this 2 to 4 hour session, I need all of them to have at least the chance to not shine, because I don't think it's about shining, but about like bringing something to the table, being useful, or the opposite, having the chance to be kind of an asshole and like derail something. That's also part of the fun. So you kind of you kind of have to create a pre-existing relationship with the character, so like really be part of the construction of the good DMs usually do that, but sometimes we leave it more to the players. But like if you have a timing in mind, and that I think that was the start of my transition from tabletop to games, was like finding a way for something to always happen. And maybe that also ties to my script writing, and I wrote a couple like literature books and stuff, so writing timing is always on my mind. But I think that was when the key started to kind of turn. I was like, oh, okay, so you can create this timing in your head, you're playing the little drums in your head, and they're the other instruments, and you kind of guiding everything into place, so every once in a while something is happening. And I would say that was a good starting point for like digital stuff.
That's beautifully put, Sid. I was looking at your novel. If I got the title right, Circus e a Cidade dos Palhacos.
Yeah. It's that was actually my very first one. I started when I was 19, and it was just released like a couple weeks ago. It's Circus and the City of Clowns.
What is it?
Circus and the City of Clowns. Circus is kind of my villain, actually.
Oh.
And it's one of those, you were brought to a very weird world. And I was, for some reason, really into circus thematics. So it's like it's kind of like almost a Tolkien, like a fantastic world, but like instead of orcs, there's like mobster clowns. Instead of elves, there's like some animal people, like Zoo Town. Very, very Faustian relationship with their leadership. It's just, I don't know.
Romance, is that the genre? Does romance mean something else?
Oh no, yeah, it's a novel.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I saw romance there, and I'm like,
oh no, not a romance. It's a very weird one.
Like, okay, yeah, the translations.
Yeah,
so you got the chops as a writer, as a novelist.
Thank you.
And then you've also gone, looks like you've done some, good for a lot of stuff. Disney, Cartoon Network,
I did a lot of stuff, man.
BMW. What'd you do for
Um,
BMW?
okay, so for the last, but let me think. 4 months ago, 5 months ago, when I officially jumped into the studio, until then I worked for 6 years in animation, commercial animation. That's why all those. I used to work for a production company called Final Frontier and a studio called Requiem, both really FinalFrontier.tv. They're absolutely awesome. Cube is also an amazing studio, and they have really high profile clients. So I was what the marketeers and stuff called a creative producer. So I was kind of like someone who's able to get the project happening. Yeah, those guys. So I was able to get the project happening, but I was also able to like write the scripts and write the treatments and present it to the client because I'm obviously a talker. I think you kind of got it by now. I know I love talking. And so I don't know. I was kind of like on the production side and on the creative side and kind of trying to bridge all that. So I wrote a lot of scripts. I wrote a lot of like creative treatments, creative pitches, like creative concepts, all the marketing words you can put together for writing. I kind of did it, but especially in the animation context. Before that, I think I saw a lot of the guys on the episode saying they started like in an office and marketing and writing. I was kind of always like that, the guy writing whatever needed writing since I think my first job was like 13. I just really liked the idea of being professionally writing and doing stuff.
13 years old. You're
Yeah, and it was out of like
like
it
a
wasn't
genius.
no sad story behind it, just really into it.
Like just that high of an IQ.
I don't,
Oh, this 13-year-old guy. You get that.
I don't know. I was just really into doing. I am really into doing stuff.
Yeah, that's
I
pretty clear.
I like it. I like, and if I'm not writing, I'm like painting or doing like weird
Singing.
sculptures or something. Sorry, what?
Must be something you don't do, right? Do you sing and
I had a band for many years too. But I don't play instruments. I can only sing and kind of sing. Just
ah.
pretend that I sing.
Yeah, I don't know if you know Raymond Benson, or if you saw that
Yeah.
with him.
I saw that so too.
Yeah, he was talking about the relevance of, or how important his background in theater was to his game development and design. And I'd be curious what, your background, I
Yeah,
work with a lot of students. I teach game studies classes, and they're always, wondering like, how can I prepare myself for a career in games and that sort of thing. And
right.
I don't always know what to tell them because I hear, well, maybe theater
Yeah,
might be the place to start, believe it or not, or maybe you need strong writing or animation. But I feel like you mentioned screenwriting, and I
yeah,
feel like that's something I would like to hear a little bit more about.
yeah. In general, the thing I always reply about this kind of stuff is let's apply it to games then. Like, what part of why games? Why do you want to do games? Because you like games, sure, but there's something you want to do in games. Games are not, there's no alchemy to it. You won't go into a laboratory alone and just magically conjure something. You gotta want to do something in the game. And in my case, I always wanted to write. Like, I knew I wanted to write. I actually wanted to write books, and I'm slightly frustrated by the fact I don't write just books, but all good. I have fun. I mess around. So like, coming back to it, what do you want to do in games? And then just start doing it a lot for no reason and create your own, like, oh, I want to write games and I don't have a team, I don't have a job. Bro, just write a game. Do everything you would for if you had the full team and just write it. And oh, but what can I do with it? I'm gonna be honest, probably nothing. You're probably gonna put it in your drawer. It's gonna be something that you have, and sure, one day you might get it back and resuscitate it and make it better, but you probably won't do anything with it. I think the advantage that I had was that I was so into this thing that I never stopped doing it. So that allowed me to slowly and quietly get better from the point that I was probably awful at it. Because I don't suppose I was born good. So, but when I was bad for me. I was bad alone, and then reading later and going like, what the hell was I thinking? But I wrote the bad one. I would never write anything as bad as this one. At least I won't write this one again. It will never be to a client. It will never be to a full team. It won't be to a table reading. It won't be to a place where it might discourage me from trying again, is what I mean. But I think you just need to set your aims and do as much as you can and as close as you can. Because again, I knew I wanted to write books, but it was because I was flexible about writing scripts that I discovered that I like scripts, and my books got better because of that. It's because I was willing to write 100 treatments for agencies and stuff that I did get better. Like it's impossible that I didn't get better, at least an ounce better by writing something like 100 somethings. So kind of focusing a little more. I like the idea of getting stuff around it. Like theater will help you with games and like writing scripts, but do find time to do exactly what you want to do for you. Like write your games. If you can find a way to pay the bills with an activity that teaches you what you want to do. So like go work for an agency as a copywriter, even if you want to do games, that's amazing because you will have the best excuse in the world to use your skill all day. And then at night you can write your game. And I don't know, maybe Matt Barton might see it and think it's awesome and invite you to chat with him or something. I don't know. It's stuff happens, like, but you got to do it a lot. You got to
That's the
do it a
best
lot.
advice, though. I love the way you put that. So you find a job that will teach you the skills that you need to do what you want to do.
Exactly.
I mean, that is
Exactly.
dynamite.
Yeah. Because I think it's a very, very, not even just the outdated, but somewhat impossible to achieve idea that you will get into a job, because that's the 60s, 50s, and before thing. Like you would get into the company as the guy in the mailroom, and then you would go up in the company, and you would find things. The company would find things to progress you to, and to give you a reason to stick around. Oh, now you are a manager of this, and now you're a regional manager of that. And it's not how things work anymore. You don't stick around for a place anymore. You don't do one thing for the rest of your life. If you're lucky, you'll be kind of like me, in the sense of people will invite you to do different things based on what you already did. Like, oh, I saw this commercial you did, and I want to invite you to do a short film. Oh, that's amazing. That's perfect. I didn't know I was preparing for the short film, but I
Yeah.
was. So yeah, be flexible about it. Like pay the bills because you gotta, but be flexible about how you do it.
Yeah, that's certainly true. I was always amazed or astounded when I got into this education racket, because you would always thought, well, like the university wants to hire a professor, wants to hire a dean or a president. Wouldn't they want to hire their own people because they trained them and they know what they know. They've worked with them. They're like, no, we would never hire somebody. That's inbreeding. Why would we hire? We know they suck. We want to get somebody from another school, another state, hopefully another country,
That's inbreeding. It's amazing. It's academic inbreeding, guys. We avoid it.
I'm like, why are you this old model, like you say, of the one studio, and forget about it.
It's
You're gonna be freelancing. You're going to be learning. You're trying to build up a skill set that you can take with you to the next gig.
Exactly.
Well, I know we want to get to a certain game.
I'm going with the flow.
Let's see if we can. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, so this is the one I played the Itch.io, the
Yep.
demo you had on Itch.io. But yeah, we got a lot to unpack here. Holy cow! I saw that you really piqued my interest with that email. We were talking about the like pandemic punk. Yeah,
Mhm.
that alone. Oh, pandemic punk. Okay, I got to know more about this.
That's what I
Really,
was hoping for.
yeah. I mean, wow. Usually I can play a game and I start instantly thinking, well, this is kind of like this and that, and I can put together 3 or 4 games that kind of more or less where it is. This I was like, I don't know how to describe this, comping it to other games. I mean, uh,
That's lovely to hear.
some of the let's see, is there a way is this some of the footage?
Oh yeah, that's like the intro for the
Yeah, if we can get a shot
collection.
where you're driving around. Yeah, yeah, that scene there. I was getting a little. This is going to sound crazy to you, but have you ever played that old Ghostbusters game?
I've seen it play, but I've never played it.
It reminded me a little bit of that because there's these
Uh,
scenes with I think it's Ecto One. Is that the Ectomobile or whatever the
Ecto 8, I think.
Ecto? What is it? Anyway,
I think it's Ecto 8. Or am I?
you're driving that around to bust the ghost. So that's about the only thing that I could was even remotely familiar. But this well, I'll let you tell the story, kind of what's
Yeah.
going on, how much you want to tell. But yeah, I was
Okay.
really intrigued by the post-pandemic stuff, and then the crows and what their job and like the setting, and it's all really kind of mind-blowing. I mean, it's disturbing, I suppose, but it's not like
Yeah.
I didn't stop the demo feeling. Yeah, I was more curious, I guess, than
That's good.
anything
That's
else.
very good to hear. Yeah, so this is again kind of a long one in the sense of by the end of the pandemic, I was separating from a get moving together situation during pandemic, and I was really like unpacking everything, like like everybody else, really trying to understand what the hell, like where am I, who am I after all that. And it actually became a book first. It's called the Crow's Gospel. It's kind of still on my drawer for whenever, but it's basically 10 years of pandemic in the book. And I won't get too much into it, but then when I started thinking more about the games, when I started actually like thinking about doing this transition and putting more into the studio, because it was more of a passion project until then. uh I kind of got back to it, and I thought, okay, maybe I think the book was a halfway point, and the game needs to be way more in the future, in the sense of like kind of undefined. So the game is about a world that has been in pandemic, in quarantine, basically for like 50 plus years, 60 years, 70 years. We don't even know exactly yet anymore. And what would that mean? What would it mean if we didn't escape? What would it mean if the illness never left, if the quarantine became culture, if basically if we were shaped by it. And oh, it's worth mentioning that the first idea actually came from this writer, this you might be familiar with him, probably, the Jean Delumet, I think, the guy who wrote all those books, a French historian from the 70s, wrote a lot about like the origin of the fears
Human
in
fear.
the Western world. I don't
Is it?
remember the name in English, but in Portuguese and
Oh,
French is like the history of fear in the Western world.
oh yeah, I was. Hang on. I'll go ahead.
But
Keep
I
talking.
know that in English it's a little different, the title, but I don't quite remember now.
Yeah, I was looking at that. I Sin and Fear: The Emergence of
Yeah,
Western
that's
Guilt
it.
Culture.
That's it. And I really love this book. I can't even like quite explain
I could
my
tell you, you're the
relationship.
only game developer I've ever had that cited this book.
I'm glad to be in this very selective and weird club.
Okay, what's going on with this book?
Yeah, so the book basically he kind of breaks down, like he starts by saying that this book exists because we talked a lot about the origin of many things but never fear. And he traces every fear in Western culture to the centuries 13th between and 18th, and especially the plague. The plague is very, very central to his points, like religion and all that. Obviously, like it's a whole mix of insanity from the Dark Ages, but the plague is very, very present. And reading this book during the pandemic, like I had my, it was actually my ex's book, so I had kind of scoured it a lot, but I never stopped to actually read it. And I was reading it during the pandemic, and I was like, holy wow, it's like just the same thing. It's like he was describing like the how funeral grieving rituals being broken really stresses a society, and like all the blame game, like everything. It was insane. It was insane to be like going through the day watching the news, and then at night I would read this book that was just telling the same news, but from like the 14th century countryside, like French countryside. I was like, my God, what the hell? And then you start. The lines, the fun. That's gonna be a very bad word to use, but the fun side has appeared when I started realizing the reactions and the anchors that people were using. It was either ideology, religion, or I don't know. Everybody was kind of holding on into something, and I was like, and I think that was kind of when it clicked. Like, if we stopped at this point, in this point of time, in this context of pandemic and quarantine, etc., the paranoia, the division, the need to hold on to something, those would be like the future factions, the future groups, because we don't get together anymore. We don't share with other people. We only have our little bubbles and all, and we and the echo chamber, that the political and ideological, etc., echo chamber that we were living in. All that really started forming this world of like social distances, and how the mask becomes your face, and how your little group of people give meaning to your existence, because you don't have a general context anymore. You have your context now. And like how the government responds to that, how organized religion responds to that, how those opposed to both those things respond to that. And then I got to the point in the book where one sentence really put everything together. It was like that. I think in Florence, people used to be so paranoid of body collectors. They would believe that they would put curses on people, or that they would kill people to steal the possessions. They weren't dead yet, da, da, da. And they used to call them crows. And I was like, oh no, that is too cool. That really puts a central figure into my. That was obviously first for the book, but the game really like drinks this thing up. That is like, in a world of distances, you are the most distant creature of all. You are the one who handles the disease. You handle the bodies. You are people. They don't trust you. They fear you for the logical reasons and the not logical reasons. And in this future, there's so much like so many ideas and let's say culture that evolved around how fearful people are of the crows, that I thought, okay, that's my main figure. That's the POV I want from this broken world, is this one person who, because they're still able to move around, because they're still the one to see everybody, but it's usually when they die, you are the most distant of all. You are the one that can make favors for everybody. You're the one who can check on my grandma who lives on the other side of town because you will pass by there. You're the one who might have found the ring from my wife who got collected. Could you give it back? And And I was like, okay, it's a very bleak, obviously, like dark and kind of depressing, but point of view. But I find it so fascinating, like so fascinating. And from there, that's the game. You are a body collector exploring a quarantine city, and like seeing people at their worst and their best, and using their hope against them or helping them. And it kind of goes back to what we were saying about collaborating with the player. Like, I have kind of a battleship board that connects like choices and the factions and all that, to kind of like, okay, player, what do you want to do? Who do you think is right? Who would you align with? Who would you help further the cause? And hopefully, if you do our works right, the world will like react to it. Yeah, or cultist.
Yes. I haven't ever played anything like this. I mean,
That is great to hear.
yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's tough to describe the vibe of it. It's. I mean, if you just glance at it, you might think, well, this is kind of this dreary, scary kind of thing. But I feel like it's a lot deeper than just. You're not going for like shock or
No,
jump scares
definitely not.
or anything of that sort. It's like this. I don't know. Would you call it like a warning or like
In what sense?
a message that we're.
Oh, yeah, for sure, for sure. I talked a lot about this at the beginning on the with the team. I was like, guys, it's not for shock for shock. It's about, why do we do movies about defeating Nazis? It's why we do books about surviving the alien apocalypse. It's about like, let's please don't forget that things happened, and that to get, it's on the realistic side, on the realism and history side. I think it's very much about, please do, let's not forget, we live in the best timeline possible, where the right choices were made, where the vaccine worked, where people, even against their own mad will, decided to work together for this, and applaud nurses. And like, dude, we did all right, if you think about it, if you really think about it. Because to me, there are so many insane timelines that we could be living in right now. It's so many. And it's not a closed door. It will never be a closed door. A pandemic, it's not something you cannot avoid. Hurricanes, you cannot avoid. Tsunamis, you cannot avoid. Pandemics from being possible to happen, because how easy it was last time, how freaking easy it was last time. And it was something that didn't kill immediately. Like, man, the more I thought about it, I was like, hashtag blast, because this could have been such a cluster f word. And yeah, I think we are already forgetting. Like, people are already assholes to health workers again, and like, what the hell? When have we forgot? And there, I'm not going to talk about other people's governments, but there's a lot of deregulating vaccines and stuff that is happening in some places. So, like, did we forget already? Is it possible that we collectively didn't go through that? And yeah, it's a warning for sure.
I was curious, like, I'm sure people would. So there's certain people I imagine would like, oh, a pandemic. Oh, I don't even want to think about that. I've kind of shut that down. And why would you want to make? Why would I want to play a game? Setting that.
And I totally understand, like, but at the same time, Apocalypse Now was filmed during the Vietnam War, like, and I don't know. I think we
Love that.
don't need. Oh, sorry.
I love that movie. It's one of my favorites.
Oh, I love it too. One of my favorites.
Yeah.
And like, I think people are quick to forget, and our attention span is, for the lack of a better word, for shit. We're just really uh so quickly passing to the next thing. Like, we're there, and God knows we have crisis to think about. God knows we will always have something absolutely batshit insane happening in the world, and we can't really hold on to all of them. I get it. I don't want to. I don't want to be a. I don't want to force depression down people's throats. So it is still a game in the sense of I hope it's fun. I hope it's like you said. I hope you get curious. I hope you want to know more. I hope you, and also in a sense of like it is a narrative game. So if you want to understand someone or an ideology, if I do my work right, I want you to be able to understand why somebody does something in this world. I don't want you to think that people are villains for villainy sake. I don't. Uh, Maybe yeah, maybe there's a crazy cult in there who thinks everything should burn. Sure, but maybe they have writings that can kind of get you like, oh, okay, at least I kind of get it. Or why is the military so oppressive? They're not just oppressive, they're actually kind of holding things together. If you think like if you put it in the scales, maybe it would be a lot worse in this world if the military wasn't. And they preach a lot of like order and regression, like order and regress, coming back to it. But others might pose, should we go back? Was it good? Is it not a chance to do better? So I think I hope that I give people the opportunity to kind of interpret this world in their own way, and maybe even making it better. Maybe even leaving it a little better than it was when your character first started.
And that's
It's not a shock for sure. Not an idea.
yeah, I think I'm kind of more I think about it, I'm surprised there hasn't been more done. Like the pandemic punk is what a cool concept.
I
I
I'm
mean,
kind of I'm kind of
we got
yeah
so many games that are set in like a post-nuclear war. That
yeah
never happened, probably won't. I hope not.
yeah
Who
yeah
knows,
yeah
maybe. Or like the zombie stuff, which is obviously, not, it's just fantasy basically, right? Or science fiction. But like this is something everybody's pretty much everybody, I guess extremely young people, maybe not, but even they got some experience with this, right? And it's like this
yeah
shared uh, globally cultural event.
yeah.
Uh,
I think so. I think so. On a very, on a very shallow way, we're trying also to put a flag on a new planet. As we're doing this, like
mm,
when other explorers reach the pandemic punk, they will see like, oh, those guys have been here. Look at that. I see the little boots and their flag. So yeah, I think it's honestly, I don't we might be pushing our luck on the timing thing, but I think it's absolutely unavoidable. It's unavoidable.
yeah,
We
I guess we
we
got to get
we
through
we
this.
we process collective trauma through entertainment a lot. Like, and I use entertainment as honestly any like creative endeavor, not just shallow stuff. But I think that's eventually that's where we land. It's the comedy, tragedy plus time, but comedy is just one of the facets we use to survive, I guess.
Yeah, well, there's some of that plague, the bubonic plague stuff we were looking at a while ago. That's got kind of a satire or dark humor kind of a vibe to it. And I always think about, I'm sure you've seen the Monty Python and the
Yeah,
Holy Grail with the "Bring out your dead." That part.
exactly.
I mean, part of what makes that so funny is that this guy like is incredibly grim and dark and like,
Yeah,
well, what do you do when you're in that situation? You laugh and you come up with jokes. It's like this weird,
exactly.
beyond bizarre how the human mind copes with these
Yeah, exactly. I
events.
remember. You remember that cartoon, that animated series, Midnight Gospel?
Oh, I'm not familiar with that one.
It was very trippy and stuff. And I saw the creator saying that each episode in his mind is a world ending, because if the world ended and you had a little time, you would eventually stop talking about the world ending and you would start talking about other stuff and maybe playing a game and maybe just killing time until because the world is always ending and we cannot just talk about it. We need to live on.
Oh, sure. Yeah, David Bowie.
That is a great series, by the
I
way.
haven't seen this.
It's very trippy. It's
Wow, I like a good trippy thing.
yeah, he's a big enthusiast of like mushrooms and stuff, the creator. So he did it's kind of like it uses audios from
Psychedelic.
interviews that he did and then just crazy animation.
Oh, what the? That's a little Freudian, huh?
Yep. We get to some pretty interesting places. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, it reminds me of that weird French movie, The Fantastic Planet.
Oh yeah.
That's the one everybody should watch.
And Time Masters.
Wait, Time Masters.
I think it was Time Masters of Time, Masters of Time. It's another of the French craziness.
Oh,
Yeah, 82.
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, it's a Mobius adjacent.
Oh, geez. Okay, I'm gonna have to write that down. Time
That's a good one.
Time Masters. Yeah, so I wanted to drill a little bit more into the game here. If you got a little bit more
Yeah.
time, I hope. So I was curious about how you came up with like the listeners and the whisperers and the enforcers and
Yeah, the archetypes.
yeah.
That's also kind of bleeding from the well, sure, it's a kind of it's a class thing from RPGs if you put it just in a simplistic way. It also affects like the mechanics, the let's say the character sheet per se. But I think I was really kind of fascinated, especially when I was writing the book. I think I was kind of fascinated about the reactions to the crisis. I think that would be the way to put it. Like how archetypically people react to these times. And I think to me being obviously oversimplistic because it's archetypical again, but it's the ones that take advantage of it. It's the ones that impose their will in reality, and it's the ones willing to stop and process and try to adapt. Right. So I think we all hope that we are the adaptable one. Like most of the people I talk to, they go like, "Oh, I'll play listener. I'm a nice guy." Ta-da-da. But I'm like, that doesn't mean you're a nice guy. It just means you're willing to adapt, and willing to adapt sometimes means like I don't know, just betraying some stuff you believe in order to fit the thing that you realize it's the one that is going to keep you safe. Or are you going to be the one trying to like change people's minds, like say the thing that kind of realize what are they hiding, what is their agenda, what can I take away from it. I always think about the yakuzas that stole ambulances during earthquakes and the ones that punished those yakuza. So that's the guy that steals an ambulance at a crisis. It's the guy who will find a way to take something from this by word or by sleight of hand. He will find a way to take something from this. And the unbending ones, the ones that will, to use the word, enforce the will and do like try to be as either immovable or unstoppable as they can. And that's usually the ones that are trying not to deal with the reality of things. They're just trying to ascertain like this is the way I will deal with this. And I'm trying, because we're still in the demo, so I still have a lot to write and stuff, but I'm trying to give the player this experience. This is your POV. This is your way to connect with the world is through trying to understand, trying to influence, or trying to just brute force a solution.
Yeah, that sounds like it's almost like you could. Well, what I would say is the goal of a good role playing game in general is
Oh,
you're learning about who you are
exactly.
versus who
And
you want to be or who you think you are.
exactly.
A lot of people.
Sometimes you will do things that make you feel kind of bad about yourself, but then, well, you move on. And yeah, that's exactly it. It's
I hear people talk about CRPGs and like they say, I just want to be the paladin. I want to be the good guy and just unambiguously good and and always get to be
yeah,
the saintly character. That's probably what 99% of players. And I'm like, you might think you want that, but God, that's going to be boring.
That's exactly it. And sometimes just a paladin, your god, will make you do things that don't seem so nice in practical world. In the practical mortal world, gods sometimes want you to do some fucked up stuff. So how do you balance that stuff? How do you not uh, uh, let your patron down? Like, where does your faith go when God asks you to do something you think it's wrong? And on the other hand, other characters might be more willing to do the right thing and the bad thing, and you can kind of live with yourself by balancing both. Either way, it's a gameplay style, right? It's a gameplay style.
So what are you? How we got the mini game with the examining and sealing and plugging and
The
all this stuff,
collection, yeah.
driving the cars around and stuff. Is there more stuff that you're going to add to this, or are we mostly
Yeah,
on at this point? I mean, what are the
yeah,
where?
the loop is going to be essentially like you start your day by getting the requests. Like, you're probably going to be receiving more requests at the same time, and then you can kind of plan your day in the map based on the gasoline, based on the timing, time of day, etc. And also prioritizing like the type of collection, like, oh, I need more money, da da da. So okay, you have your collections, you plan your day, and you move around based on your resources on the map. You do the collections change based on the faction, right? So if it's the cultists, you're trying to emulate a ritual, so there's a quick time thing for you to sing with them. With the anarchists, they hate you because you're government, they don't know you, so they keep trying to kick you out, so you're kind of arguing with them. You can let the bar go down, and the civilian is without that. There's going to be a variation that is military, that is going to be more about precision. And we're also, and then by the end of the well, and then on the loop, still on the loop, you get the npcs that you meet. They might ask you something, they might tell you something, they might give you information, you might influence them, they might influence you. This affects your reputation with the factions and the way that you're perceived by them. And by the end of the day, you're charged your upkeep. So it's kind of a gig economy thing where the truck is not yours, the collection truck is not yours, the apartment is not yours. So you're kind of renting them from the government. So every day they kind of come and charge you for that. So I made so much money, and then they come and they kind of take it away.
Tax man.
And that's kind of the main loop, like meeting the npcs, doing the collections, affecting your disposition with the factions. But we're thinking about going, in a direction of having more little interactions, like the mini games and stuff. Like, for example, we're studying those graffiti from search and rescue that they put on buildings, that it's like a little cross with it's like an X with a lot of
Oh, I know what
symbols.
you're talking about.
And I was kind of studying that, and we're like, oh, okay, so maybe the hazard that you can that the last collector indicated is like a mini game. So if the place is underwater, you might need to do one type of mini game. If the place is out of electricity, you might need to fix the light fuse. Kind of little interactions like that. But what you have right now is essentially the mechanic. Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Hurricane Katrina, we saw these.
Exactly. And we're thinking about kind of like working the idea that every collector updates this when he does a collection in a place. So you kind of know what to expect by context, and then you have extra mini games based on that. Yeah, but it's basically going to be more like mechanizing, creating little game design moments for you to interact with certain aspects of the world. But what you have is essentially like one day, and by the end of it, you could technically have infinite days, because it's going to keep combining like types of collection, the place where you are, da da da. The main story for sure is going to have a beginning and an end, multiple endings. We're aiming at like at least like 9 variations based on what of your choices. But the collection work could just keep going, kind of like on Dredge. You can just keep fishing, so you can keep collecting bodies, which is way less cozy. But yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking this might fit into a space with games like Papers, Please.
Yeah, yeah, one of the for sure, one of the inspirations. Yeah.
I could see certainly game studies classes, like look at this game. I mean,
Yeah,
about
work
how long would
students.
it, when it's all done, about how long do you think it would take to get from start to one of the endings? I mean, assuming you don't get like a game over.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of ways to die in the game, by the way. And that's another thing we're playing around with. That's an awful way to put it again, playing around with. But it's all the ways you can die in the pandemic punk world. So there's gonna be like very something to mention. I know it's very uh pedantic maybe, but the writing is super inspired by Cormac McCarthy. He's like my favorite writer. So
Okay.
we're very bleak and poetic and cosmic sometimes. So there's gonna be all types of deaths. You can have a saint's death, you can have a sinner's death, you can have a clean death. Like it's gonna be all types of deaths too. But my partner, who's the lead dev and the tech guy, he thinks he wants at least 12 hours, and like maybe with a very full experience, like 20 hours, something like that. But I don't know. I know there's a lot of text, so I know that that does consume time. So yeah,
Yeah, well, 20 hours. Wow. That's
yeah.
pretty, that's gonna be big.
Let's say 10. Let me rephrase it and
20
say
hours
10.
to
And then
play.
if you get 20, everybody will be so happy.
Yeah, I mean, is it like 20 hours if you add up all the endings, or are we talking about even one?
Yeah, no,
One,
yeah. I think the
one
20 is the platinum one. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, yeah, those Carmack novels are great. I think I saw Children of Men mentioned somewhere too.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Figure it out.
Hard inspo. I love it.
Yeah, good stuff. Let's
But I think Blood Meridian and The Road are just the biggest influences on my creative brain. I'm not a very happy. It's not a happy place in my brain if those are my favorites. But I just love Cormac McCarthy so much.
yeah, there's something about that genre, like The Road. It's so bleak that somehow it cheers you up. Because you're
Yeah,
like, at
yeah,
least I'm not dealing with this.
exactly, exactly. It's
It
a
kind of
good
puts your
feeling when
problems in perspective a little bit.
you read a very bad sad scene and then you go grab a yogurt on the refrigerator, like just to like, oh, that's good, that's sweet, those are calories. Yeah,
All right, so I
for
got a
sure,
couple of quick questions here for you
for
from
sure.
that.
No hurry on my side.
Let me see. I think I had some from my gaming club too. I might bring those up if you've got a minute. Let me see if we have it.
Yeah.
So one person, while I'm looking for this, one person had asked about what comics inspired you, but you had already talked about
Oh,
gaming, so I don't know if there's a.
oh God, I love comics so much. Okay, one of the latest ones that I've been thinking a lot about, I'm actually rereading because I realize how aligned it is with what I want, is I forgot the order in English. DMZ by
Hmm.
Brian Woods. Is that it? I'm not gonna try to Google so my internet doesn't go crazy, but I think it's Brian Wood.
Brian.
DMZ is amazing. I
Yeah,
don't know if you read it.
I'm not. Haven't read all that many comics.
Oh, okay.
DM.
Yeah, this is it's a bit, on very short version is like it was kind of written right after 9/11, very simultaneously for the day we're recording this.
I think I.
But oh, that. Why is the cover from 50 Shades Darker?
Oh, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, but it's Brian Wood. That is exactly the one. And it's just, that was weird.
Which one?
Yeah, that's the one.
This is it.
So So he wrote this after in the like right after 9/11, and it's essentially the US was involved in so many overseas wars that like an insurgent army appears in the US and spreads around so much that the government can fight it, and eventually the Manhattan becomes DMZ, and on one side it's these armies, on the other it's the United States, and it's a very young journalist that kind of falls there and starts covering everyday life.
I get it. So
It's
DMZ is demilitarized zone.
yeah, demilitarized zone.
Okay.
It's brilliant.
Wow, this looks like something
Some,
I really like.
yeah, it's very good. It's very like sensitive to the topic that like it's very, I don't know, it's a very well thought out thing for the themes that are so heavy and at the time were so fresh. So I take a lot of inspiration from that.
Yeah, I can see that now that I'm looking at the art style too. Yeah, I can see some influence there. Yeah, I love
Yeah.
those. I really got into The Walking Dead
Ah, yeah, I like him too.
comics. That was like, I love that. Yeah. So this looks like
I
it's
like
good. If I like
it.
that, I
Has
think
the
this looks like. Okay, I got these questions here. So let's see. Challenges. I think we've any concepts you ended up cutting. Well, you're not done yet. What's it? Here's a good one, I guess, from them. So, are there any bugs that became features moments?
Okay, yeah. Let me think. I not right now, but I totally see what they're talking about. Uh, well, you mentioned the challenges. What happened is we had so many bugs on the when we just quickly briefly tried to do the exploration with the truck on in 3D, and it was such madness to do in a team of two people that we were like, nope. And then we kind of that's what made us create the map system that I'm so fond of right now. Like I really like the map UI, and I think it feels old school, but like you said, I don't think it's exactly like anything else. So it's not I'm not answering the right question, but it's a bug that it's a bunch of bugs that for sure got us into creating a solution that we're really fond of right now. Like, and we wouldn't get it if we just went straight ahead. Yeah, exactly. You have the nodes, and every point of interest has a little copy about it, about what it was and what it is. Like the big yellow building on the left corner up corner is it's a cultist temple that took an abandoned building. On the bottom, you have a shopping mall that became like a post-pandemic saint lived on on the food court at some moment. So people pilgrimage to there to find holy napkins and blessed straws and stuff like that. So that was a lot of fun to kind of
Channeling a bit of George
shape.
Romero for that, I think.
Oh yeah, yeah, no. My man George Romero, it should be credited on this thing because the shopping mall definitely strong Day of the Dead vibes. Oh, sorry, Dawn of the Dead. Day is the military. Sorry,
Yeah.
George Romero
Oh,
fans, don't hate me.
I think he passed away fairly recently. He's not still with us.
Yeah, fairly recent, like couple years.
Yeah, I just those zombie movies. That's the reason I got into The Walking Dead. I've always I watched that the black and white one as a kid, and I just got
It's
so
amazing.
oh
It's really amazing.
yeah, I could
I'm
watch that
really,
movie on repeat play. It's like
I'm really into it.
okay,
Yeah.
let's see if I got another question. Yeah, somebody'd ask about typefaces. How important is a good typeface for a game's logo? You have very great typefaces.
Yeah, we have an insane one.
That's a professional background in that.
Yeah, so I would say if you can get a designer to do to make these choices for you based on your vision,
Mm,
because man oh man, do we think we know what we're talking about when it comes to design, and then somebody who actually knows what's happening comes and redoes it, and you go like, oh, that's what it should look like. Okay, nice. So it is. I think it's super important. We're still kind of testing ours because it did become very complex. So we have kind of variations with less of the ZZ thing. So, but for sure, I think it's worth at least, like, if you don't have the the budget or or, I don't know, the structure to have a designer with you, talk to one.
mm.
Like, people are nicer than I make you believe with my games and my writing. They're actually very nice sometimes, most times, and somebody can very quickly give you, like, even just knowing a family of fonts that work for the thing that you want to achieve visually helps so much. Helps so much. And it's, again, maybe you have a very good eye, or maybe you're adjacent to training, design training, but it's usually not what you think, in my experience, you
Yeah,
know.
I know exactly. Yeah, some of the things when I'm reviewing games, I try to focus on things like this, like the interface, the user interface, the way menus look, and the themes, and because people don't really notice, because if it's done really well, you probably don't even think about it. You just
Yeah,
enjoy it. It's
yeah,
not something you draws a lot of attention necessarily, but it makes such a you only notice it when it's done poorly.
yeah.
And
And
that's an
I think,
ugly typeface, or that
for
doesn't,
sure.
this doesn't feel good when I'm sorting for my inventory, or something like that.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think it's one of the things that most hit people's expectations in prototypes and demos, and they don't even realize, is that they're not seeing, usually, like for ours, for example, you're not seeing final menus and UIs and stuff, but you immediately go like, oh, okay, it's not the same, it's different, it's weird. Why is it weird? Why is it that typeface? Because it's a placeholder, but the placeholder messes with your mind immediately when you start a prototype, and it's like, oh, everything is simple, it's placeholder. You're like, oh no, my brain is giving me red signs. So it's super important, super
Mm.
important.
And I think it shows too, just attention to detail of
Yeah,
from a designer. And if he's,
yeah,
I feel so much more comfortable with the game when I see, like, oh, clearly they have paid
yeah,
attention. Yeah, because
yeah.
then I can relax and enjoy the game. Because otherwise, I'd be like, okay,
No,
I
and again,
hit those shoddy, poorly thought out mechanics, because if they don't have the type,
exactly,
you know,
exactly. It could be completely fake, but not the case. But like, if they didn't pay attention to this, what else am I to expect from this little experience? You know?
yeah, it's like when you play a game and there's spelling and errors and typos.
Oh yeah,
You're
that's
like, okay, it's not really a big deal. I get it. I can figure out what they meant there. But on the other hand, if you got all these typos and spelling errors or whatever, how can
no,
I
yeah,
trust the code is not
yeah. Come on,
just as
come
bad?
on, do the homework.
You
Yeah.
know. All right. Well, I think we covered about everything. Let me see. I thought I had one more here. Oh yeah, there was a
Oh yeah,
question
yeah.
about voiceovers. Yes, this is a
Okay.
pretty good question. So, how do you cast voiced overs for a game and ride the line between hitting the right tone? You don't want to be too cheesy, but you don't want to be too subtle. So, I guess it's a question just about, how do you pick a good voice actor? And
Yeah, that's a good question, and one that I'll try to answer and use my answer in the future when we start getting more people, because right now it's mostly people around us. They have like good English and stuff. The narrator is me, so I can personally answer about being
oh,
cheesy or not. And in my case, maybe I'm a bit
recognize the
cheesy.
voice. I've been talking to you. I didn't know that was you. Wow.
It's a classic simple Audacity, changing the pitch. I'm not a pro, but I really wanted the narration, and I had such a, I don't know, I had such a clear vision in my head of what I wanted from the narrator, that I was like, okay, we don't have like the budget to get someone right now to like, for timing's sake, didn't make any sense for us to go full on into it. But let me focus on the cheesy thing, because I think that's something that I personally experienced a lot. The game is dramatic. It's not. It's kind of dramatic in the sense of the themes and the Cormac McCarthyan energy that I try to imprint in the text and stuff. So I needed uh, gravitas. I needed seriousness. But a lot of the versions I recorded felt so cheesy. It felt like I was like, yes, and then things got way better. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what are you, that's not, nobody ever talked like this. I know it's a narrator. I know it's kind of in my mind, it's supposed to be kind of the voice of the character in the character's mind. It's kind of like an internal monologue. So I
Um,
didn't need to be realistic, but It's a line, man. It's a line, and because I'm not a professional, etc. The advice I would say is let it rest. Listen on the next day and show it to somebody. And if you can show it to somebody in front of you, so you can see how they react and they don't massage the truth at all, that's even better, because people have such facial expressions when you do something that is too cheesy or cringe, as the youngsters say. Uh, so yeah, it is a fine line, especially when you want dramatics, when you have like a fantastic. I think fantasy games are always at risk of being cheesy with the voice, right? Because good morrow to you, sir. Like it's already, it already hits your ear a little weird. So I on the characters, not on the narrator, I'm looking for, at least I'm envisioning like how people talk. You know, how do people say this thing? How do so working with actors, like on my experience with animation and stuff, the comfort with the writing is key. You know, like the people who are comfortable with the words say things in a comfortable way, in a natural way. So when you hear your actor or your actress, your the person saying the lines, be willing to change them sometimes, because sometimes the written word is not the spoken word. It's a lot of cases. It's not rare for the written word to not work in when you read it out loud. So don't be precious about the wording, because sometimes the wording doesn't make sense in a human mouth. So that, I think that's kind of like the if I can give any advice that I went through, is dial down on the drama by listening to yourself to the audio on the next day and showing to other people, and like really go for be flexible about it, you know. And especially if you actually have the opportunity to choose your actor, like, oh my god, this is the guy for the crow that I really trust the person. You know, it is a collaboration after all. It is the person, this is the right person for a reason. It's not a tool, you know, it's the person. So I think be open to collaborate and listen to how things sound in the mouth of the person you chose to speak. It's game changer for the way things sound.
Yeah, I had the guy on about what, God, I'm blanking on the details, but he they had William Shatner in there as the voice actor for some game, and
Amazing.
they got into some argument about how a word was supposed to be pronounced. And you know what I'm talking
It
about?
wasn't like this.
I can't think of the word.
Gotta love Shatner.
But anyway, they went
Guys
back.
believe.
That poor guy, just some studio guy, you know, but the game that wasn't even like the head guy or anything. He just was, that was his job, was to work with Shatner on this in the studio.
Hard. That's a hardcore mission.
Why you want to work? You want Shatner for your game?
Shatner, if you're listening to me, you can do however you want. I will give you the words, and you can just say them as however you want.
Golly, what was that word? There's probably gonna be shouting in the comments about this. Something like tomato and tomato. You know how to say it, but
Yeah.
it was a weirder example. All right. Well, if we got time for one more,
Yeah, please.
I'm gonna ask about the feedback. What kind of feedback have you gotten already? What kind of feedback are you looking for?
Yeah.
What
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
How are you
I
engaging with the community? Where do people go that are watching this video? And I mean, obviously we got the itch, but is there, what
no,
would you say? Somebody's watching this and like, I want to talk to this guy. I got some ideas, or I got some questions.
talk to me. Yeah, if you want to talk to us, by the way, please go ahead. We're like, we're not huge by any measure. So we have a Discord. We're always around. It has been mostly things in Portuguese by now, but we do have a space in English now specifically for the game. You can send us something on Itch. You can send us something on Instagram or YouTube. The type of thing that we're looking for is definitely trying to understand the mini game like the specific mechanics are working for you. Like, is driving around, is it satisfying? Is the collection clear? Can you understand the steps? Because we did have a lot of problem. The collection mini game is pretty simple, but a lot of people actually didn't understand, like, there was an order. A lot of people don't read that's okay, I'm not judging, like, don't read the tutorial. That's normal. So essentially how things are feeling in the game sense. But also for me personally, you said a lot of stuff that I would be super interested in hearing. Like, are you curious? Do you want to know more about the world? Does it feel like something you want to, like a place you want to explore? Do you want to hear the stories? Do you want to do because of my background with RPGs and stuff, I'm super down to, like, maybe write a tabletop in this world, or do shorter, more narrative driven story, like game stories about, like, more interactive fiction about characters. Like, I have this idea of one about the nurse that works at the med center where you deliver the collections. I kind of want to tell how is a day in her life, and as an interactive story. And I guess the question is this interesting, guys? Do you want to know more about this world? Or is it too dark? Like, you can be honest if it's too bleak, if it's too dark, if it triggers you in a bad way. Like, I actually honestly want to know. I think everything is, it's very mindful and purposeful. Like, but we don't want to be mean. We don't want to do something that drives you away from the game because it makes you feel bad. But is it the type of dark that you want to know more? Is it the That's pretty much it. Like, how is the world to you? How is it a place you don't want to live in, but you want to visit in games and stuff? That would be awesome for me, particularly. But anything in the game is more than welcome. We're not precious.
I'm trying to find your Discord channel. Where's
Oh, yeah, that's a good question, actually, because I think it's linked on our Instagram and on our YouTube,
oh, it is.
but I'm
Okay.
not sure if it's on itch.
Okay.
Our house is still getting an order from the transition in Portuguese to English, but we'll get there.
Everything but the Discord. I got the Steam, I got the Twitch, I got the YouTube.
I'll
If you send it to
send
me.
it.
Well, we could put it somewhere in the video description if I guess, but
Yeah.
yeah, so that's good. So it's open to feedback.
Yeah, very much so.
I'll mention this to I'm going to probably end up being an advisor for the our game development club here. And I was telling him I said, well, I'm going to be interviewing these guys. Sid, and they had all these questions. And it's not like they were excited about this.
That's nice.
I'll probably reach out to you.
That would be lovely. More than welcome. I just sent you on the chat, Discord.
Oh, there we go. See if I can get this. Are you sure you want to leave YouTube? What?
Oh, because I sent you from YouTube. Maybe that's why it copied the whole thing. Yeah, you can leave YouTube. Sorry.
Okay. Well, anyway, we don't want to. Oh, or people with me trying to sign up for your Discord. Oh, here we go. Never mind. We got
Yeah, now it should work.
Okay. Let's see. English. Yeah, I don't know any.
Oh, then there's the old RPG spaces like the angel, the demon.
What
I
the-
guess you're a crow or a magus. You look like a magus for sure.
There's no rat.
What? Sorry.
We need a rat.
A rat.
Oh my God. What?
Oh, this is asking you for a DM. You can just skip it if you want.
I guess I am.
Yeah. See.
Okay. I got one more.
Yeah. No, this is just explaining the channels. Don't worry about it. Then
All
you
right.
have like Plaguelands, Crow's Requiem on
So
the.
this is where I would go if I wanted to mix.
Yeah, then you can just send us feedback. The nest is where you can just have conversations.
There
We
we go.
recently said this, so we're still starting to get on it. because we had again a lot of focus there on the tabletop stuff. But again, more than welcome, guys, on any platform. Love to chat.
I guess start that. I'll think of something better to say than hi. All right, Sid. Well, this has been a blast. That's a great project. Looking forward to it. I'm following you already on the itch.io.
Thanks a lot.
So I guess the official full version will be out tomorrow, right? Is that the?
Yeah, we get with the demo is coming on October 9th, and the final prototype is already happening on itch. So there's a full first day of the game there.
So you'll have it ready by Halloween, then. That sounds like perfect. Good time. Yeah. Was there anything else that you wanted to talk about that we didn't get to?
I think that was we covered a lot, so I'm pretty stoked about the conversation. Thanks a lot for having me.
Oh, thanks for coming on. It's been fascinating.
It's been a pleasure.
I have to get that novel. Well, I guess that novel's not in English, right?
I'll find you an English version of something. just so you can see how I write in the outside games.
Okay. Well, thanks again, Sid.
Thank you, my friend.
Pleasure to meet you. I'm sure we'll have another show.
Oh, please. Doors always open.
All right. Talk to you later.
Thank you, my friend.
And that's all for this week's episode. Hope you guys enjoyed that. I always kind of struggle here with Matt Chet. I guess struggle is not the right word, but you're kind of wondering who would be good guests for the program, who to have on. How can you choose guests? Because it's a lot of fun when you have a big name, a big celebrity on the show. It gets a lot of new eyeballs, a lot of excitement, a lot of interest. People that will link to the show from all kinds of places. But on the downside, with those big names, they tend to have done dozens, if not hundreds, of interviews already. They've got their sort of routine, their shtick polished, and you gotta basically get the same kind of talking points that you could watch in, a dozen other places. So it's not all that exciting just for me to sit there and listen to somebody go through their standard set of questions, pre-packaged answers, that sort of thing. So it's really great. It's why I kind of like the indies and lesser known people that maybe this is their first interview. I love those, especially when they've got really deep and meaningful things to say. So even if you don't agree with everything, it's just nice to know there's people out there innovating, people exploring new stuff and all that. So hope you enjoyed my interview here with Sid. Now, if you did, and then I really, truly, oh my God, do I hope, oh please, go to that link in the show notes, folks, to the Patreon site and become a paid member of the crew. You can join the King of the Rat Slayers Guild on Discord, all sorts of fun stuff. Now, I know not everybody likes Patreon. I got a bunch of other options. You can do the YouTube memberships. You don't even have to leave YouTube for that. It's basically the same sort of, a couple of clicks and you're good to go as a YouTube member. That's just as good for me. Hey, whatever you want to do to support the show is great for me. There's also a Ko-Fi and a PayPal option there for people. Again, everybody's got their preferred thing and things that they stay away from. So hopefully amongst those options, you will find one that you can click on and sign up, $1, $2, $5, $10, whatever it is. Please, the time is now. Could really use your help and support. So go to those links. Takes a couple of seconds, maybe a couple of minutes if you want to read all the fine print. And hey, you'll be supporting the show. You get a lot more out of it. And you might not understand how it works, but if you like watching the show and you're not paying for it, you're missing out on some of the enjoyment factor. There's something about being part of the community behind a show like this that will ratchet things up to 11. Yeah. You guys seen the new Spinal Tap? I haven't seen it yet. Got to get to a theater. Anyway, please go to those links. Matt, Bradley, Shergi, and I will greatly appreciate you for doing that. So thank you to everyone who's done it already. And if you are still on the fence about it for whatever reason, just go forget that. Pause the video, click the links, come back, and we will do that news from the Matt Cave. All right, thank you so much for signing up and becoming a paid member. You know, we're so close. It's kind of this war of attrition sometimes. You know, you get a few new people, and some folks, you know, move on. A lot of people come and go over the years, as you can imagine. But you know, I'd really like to get to that, break over that threshold. You know, I feel like we're so close. Just even a few more members would really make a difference. Get that snowball momentum going again. So thank you once again. Oh, I guess I should say also thank you too for commenting, liking the video, subscribing to the channel. I'm supposed to say that every time apparently, but I don't like repeating. But anyway, I don't mind repeating thank you. All right, let's look at the news. So a bit of news about a game called Tainted Grail, The Fall of Avalon. Now this is not new to the channel. I've talked about this game at least a couple of times already. It's an Arthurian, as in King Arthur, Merlin, Round Table, all that, Camelot, open world RPG. And they've kind of unfairly, I think, calling it a Skyrim clone. I saw that somewhere. I don't know. I'd like to hear you guys weigh in on that if you think it's just a Skyrim clone. You know, I guess there's going to be similarities, sure, but it seems a lot different to me just by reading the description. I actually got it downloaded. I'm going to start playing it soon. If I like it, I might do a match chat on it. Okay, but anyway, the news is about a new patch, 1.1. It's called New Game Plus. Carryover gear, face tougher enemies, deal with armor debuffs each run. It's got 3 new dungeons, dozens of weapons and armor sets, fresh quests, a transmog system. Man, they got to come up with a better word than transmogrification. That's just, I don't know. Every time I see that word, I'm like, what? Transmogrification? What are we talking about? Basically, I guess they don't want to say cosmetics. That's basically what it is, right? It's just a cosmetics, the version of, it's basically cosmetics for games, I guess. And maybe they think transmogrification sounds more adventurous. I don't know. Anyway, that's not why I would look at it. But it's got some work on the 3rd act. So if you've been following the reviews on this, people say, hey, the 1st act, fantastic. 2nd act, great. 3rd act, so, you know, again, I haven't played it, just reading the reviews. So they've polished up that 3rd act, new caves, more loot, better pacing, and even a head-bobbing toggle for first-person fans. Okay, I don't know what that last item came from, but there you go. So it's 20% off on Steam until September 16th, bringing the price down to only $36. So if you've been on the fence about this, might be a good chance to try it out. And I always like a developer that listens to feedback and tries to make changes. You know, sometimes they make it worse before it gets better. But the point is they're still working on it. They're trying to make the best game they can. And I always want to support that. Certainly don't mind some updates. All right, second item. Miko writes in about the tactical RPG War Tales. Now, of course, I've covered this game as well. They seem to be pumping out the DLC. It's almost like they're trying to make money. You know, it's almost like they're running a business here. Okay. They got a new expansion, the biggest domain management expansion yet. Contract the Fief. Is it the Fief or the Fife? F-I-E-F. I should probably know that. I think it's Fief. Could be wrong about that. Anyway, this is coming out September 25th, 2025 on Steam, Steam and GOG. It's only $12.99 with a 10% launch discount. Yeah, that's interesting. Why would you give a discount right away? That doesn't make, you know, don't you want to wait for the discount for like a year from now? But anyway, I guess it's good for you. The DLC lets your mercenary band claim and grow your own fief. Raise, I'd sure hate if it's fife. Isn't a fife an instrument? Oh my God. Little whistle, kind of a flute looking thing. Anyway, you raise building across districts, pass laws and mandates, balance resources like food, security, education, and comfort, and shape your realm's identity through emerging factions. Will you be a militaristic ruler, a hub of trade, or a bastion of knowledge and culture? Every decision now resonates beyond the battlefield. So that sounds like a very significant expansion, so check that out. Once again, name is Contract. You know, it's probably the worst name ever for a DLC. You know, when I think about games and everything I love about RPGs, contracts and bureaucratic legalese. It's not on my top 10, top 100, but they probably should have called it something different, but I love those additions. That's what's important. You know, I should probably check that game out again. I haven't even played any of the DLCs, and they got like, what, 3 or 4 at this point? All right, and then lastly, that game Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. So this keeps popping up in the old news queue. Well, they've got an official launch date of October 21st, 2025. This is, of course, from the Chinese Room and publisher Paradox Interactive White Wolf. You know, the Chinese Room. You know, are you familiar with that? That is probably a reference to Searle, a philosopher. I think he's sort of an AI philosopher, or philosophical views on AI. You should look up the Chinese Room from Searle. It's really interesting theory there, or thought experiment, I think he calls it. But back to the Vampire the Masquerade. So you play as Fire, spelled very cleverly with a P-H-Y-R-E. Yeah, Fire, Fire. An elder vampire awakened from centuries of slumber in modern-day Seattle. Ooh, that is horrific. Joined by Fabian, a Malkavian detective whose voice echoes in Fire's head and whose 1920s noir segments you'll even play through. That's pretty cool. That's pretty clever. I like that idea. The base includes 4 clans, Bruja, Tremere, Banu Hakim, and Ventru, while 2 fan-favorite clans, La Sombra and Toreador, are locked behind the Shadows and Silk add-on in the premium edition. Yeah, that's what I reported on last time. A lot of people got upset about this, locking basically necessary content behind an additional paywall. You know, I don't know. I guess that upsets some people more than others. I don't mind so much. So yeah, fans have pushed back on that, arguing that clan choice is essential to the Bloodlines experience. So I think the problem with this, if they don't get this problem rectified, they might get review bombed or trashed, you know, and that would be a shame, because it sounds like the game's really going places, but we'll see. My guess is if it's an awesome game, people will forget about this DLC business and just get it anyway, but if the game is questionable, or it's buggy, or there's other flaws, this will probably be the straw that breaks the vampire's fangs. That was terrible. Prices start at $60 for the standard version, with deluxe and premium editions offering extra cosmetics and early clan access. All right. Well, let's wrap it up with a quotation. And considering Sid and I were talking all about philosophy and science fiction and just all sorts of topics, I was looking for a really good quote that would resonate with the themes. And I found one from Albert Camus. Looks like Albert Camus, but it's Albert Camus. A book called The Plague from 1947. It goes something like this. The only means of fighting a plague is common decency. Yeah. So ponder on that, and I'll see you guys next time.
Flower People period, who was your drummer? Stumpy's replacement, Peter James Bond. He also died. We were playing a festival, jazz blues festival. When was that?
Blues jazz, really.
Blues jazz festival.
It was in the Isle of Lucy.
The Isle of Lucy.
Isle of
Jazz
Lucy.
Blues Festival.
And it was tragic, really. He exploded on stage.
Just like that. He just went up.
He just was like a flash of green light. And that was it. Nothing was left.
Look at his face.
Well, there was.
It's true. This
true.
really did
There was
happen.
a little green globule on his drum seat.
It's like a stain, really.
It was more of a stain than a globule, actually. And
You
it
know,
was
dozens of people spontaneously combust each year.